Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Brunch. I am your host, RM, and of course, we have with us today Russ Whitfield. Russ, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. A little bit tired. I decided last night I finished working on a screenplay,
Wow.
which I did in 2 weeks, which I'm quite pleased of. And traditionally, when I finish a piece of work like that, I decide I'm going to get drunk, and I did. And now I have a headache and I'm tired. But here I am. How about you? How are you doing, RM?
I am doing well. I started boot camp today, so early this morning, and I mean really early, like 5 a.m. this morning. I was working out, so all of my muscles are achy.
Hmm.
However, I was inspired, Russ. I was inspired by a film that I saw yesterday that really just I feel has just been so positive and certainly encouraging me to look towards fitness.
So you enjoyed Madame Web then?
No, no.
Before we launch into that, or perhaps we should say hello to the arrivals in the chat.
Absolutely. Good morning to Irene Jobson says, good morning, everyone. Chat room besties. Tom Jr. Jackson, my PIF, the always glamorous and gorgeous art. Thank you so much, Irene, who has a heart of gold. So sweet. And the handsome and fun Russ, 14 days sober. Well done,
Whoa! I don't know if you can
Irene.
hear me clapping through the headphones, Irene. I'm so proud of you, man. That is chef's kiss. Really, really, really well done. You've broken the back of it now, man. That's it. You know, you're over the hump. I bet you're sleeping better. I bet you're feeling 100% when you wake up. I bet you're more able to handle the kids. I'm honestly genuinely happy for you. I'm yeah, I'm just so pleased. I'm just so pleased for you. Really, really congratulations.
Absolutely, Irene. This is such wonderful news, and we are so happy for you. Keep it going. We know you can do this. We are here for you, and we are also glad to have you here at Sunday Brunch as well. Um, thank you for sharing everything that's going on with you. Want to also say hello to that old Yorkshire geek.
Hey up.
Hope hope you are well. Good to see you, sir. Stavros is here, Russ.
Hello, Stavros. How are you?
Stavros, we hope you are well this week. Good to see you, as always. Mario Lopez is here. Hi,
Oh,
Mario.
I have a question for Mario. Whereabouts in Portugal are you, Mario? I'm going to Portugal in a couple of months. So if we're in the same town, which is unlikely, but if we are, let's meet up and have a few beers.
Wow, that's so exciting, Russ. That sounds like so much fun. You guys enjoy that. Um, and Stavros says, all I need to know is two simple words this weekend, Madam
Madam
Web.
Webb.
Wow. I don't know how I heard that it was one of the most unfortunately disappointing films out there, Russ, and I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it. Did you see the film?
No, no, not yet. But uh, Sydney Sweeney is two good reasons to see that film. So 100% I'll be watching it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I know she's young, but I've got a crush on Sydney Sweeney. I'm only human.
Well, that's fine. I have a crush on the younger Hemsworth fellow, and he's younger than me, so I think that's okay too, right,
It's
Russ?
allowed. It's allowed.
And Tom G. Jackson says, hello and welcome to Sunday Brunch Live. Please click the like and subscribe buttons and enjoy the show. Tom, hello to you. We are all goof people,
Yeah.
Tom.
Hello, Tom. I must also say, Wendy and I recently started compiling our list of celebrities we were allowed to go off with should they happen into our lives, and it all started with Joan Jett, because there's a video of Joan Jett where she covers "Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap" by AC/DC. And it starts off and she's just there and she's swinging the guitar, and then she just sort of pouts a little bit and winks at the camera, and it just gets me. I can't do it, I'm a guy, but when Joan Jett does it, it's like, oh my god, that's so hot. So, and that's where the conversation started on. Yeah.
No, that's very interesting. I think that is First of all, Joan Jett was such a fantastic artist. And I think it is very interesting. Did you happen to know where Joan Jett lives?
I don't know where Joan Jett lives. No.
She lives in Long Beach.
Oh wow. So do you see her around?
No, I don't see her
No.
around. No,
No, no, no,
no.
because I often, I've seen Tom Hardy and I've seen Mick Jagger and all those guys kind of live around here. Richard E. Grant, I've seen them, once or twice. Saw Tom Hardy twice in a coffee shop now. But yeah, talking of Joan Jett, though, I did watch that movie about her and the Runaways. I think it was
Yes.
Dakota Johnson, I think, was in it, but Kristen Stewart was playing Joan Jett, and it was really, really good.
Kristen Stewart's a great actress. She's fantastic and
She really
so
is. She
funny.
really is. Funny enough, one of the films we're going to talk about today, Underwater, I think she was in, and it was directed by Rennie Harlan, I think it was, and he directed the um, oh, not Land of Bad, the Bricklayer.
Really?
Mm,
Oh my
Rennie
god.
Harlan, yeah.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. And guys, make sure you check out Amazon Russ's Amazon storefront. The link is here in the chat. Check out Russ's work. I promise you, you won't be disappointed, guys. Mr. Londell's Groovy Movies is here.
Hello, mate.
And good to see you, Mr. Lawndale's Groovy Movie. Says, greetings and felicitations. Hip, hip, hurrah. Tally ho. Yes, Mr. Lawndale's Groovy Movies. I love that kind of greeting. Irene says, oh, wow. Congratulations on your screenplay, Russ. And congratulations on boot camp for art. Thank you so
Oh,
much,
thanks,
Irene.
Irene.
And Tom says that he was watching the red carpet for the BAFTAs. You enjoy that, Tom? I'm going to do a BAFTAs recap tonight with Catherine Cook right here on the channel. So, guys, do check that out. Joe Tyson is here,
Ah, Big
Russ.
Joe, great. We can start now. I'm glad you're here, Joe. We were just killing time till that message came up. Brilliant. Good to see you, brother.
Absolutely. Darth Plato is also here, Russ.
Well, sail away. Sail away, Darth Plato.
Oh, it's so good. Stubble is here. Stubble McShay, what
Double.
a
Wow, we got all the luminaries in today, man.
yeah, that is fantastic. I love that. Mario says, I always use these programs to work at the same time. So I apologize for not following the chat 100%. Hey, it's okay. There's no requirement. Um, certainly, we're just glad to see all of you guys here today.
Yeah, man, I do the same thing, Mary. I listen. Never watch these live, or so rarely have watched a stream live. I tend to listen to them when I'm driving or when I'm in the gym. So I'm right with you, dude.
And the old Yorkshire geek says it was Lita. I was a Lita Ford guy for obvious reasons, but Joan Jett was great. Yes, absolutely. Kiss Me Deadly. That old Yorkshire geek. How could we forget
You'll like
Lita
this
Ford?
screenplay I wrote then, Old Yorkshire Geek, because it's set in London during the 1980s about a heavy metal band, one of whom's actually from Yorkshire. So there you go.
Oh, it sounds so good, Russ. I can't wait to see this screenplay. I know it's
Yeah, I'll
fantastic.
send it you after.
Oh, yes, yes. Tom Junior Texan says, I love that movie, Runaways. Fantastic acting
Yeah,
all
what's his
over.
name? Michael Shannon. It's so weird seeing Michael Shannon because Wendy had just watched Man of Steel and then she watched this and he's like playing a completely different character, but of course he still looks like General Zod, and it's so weird seeing him act in this extravagant manner, shall we say.
Absolutely, Russ. And Tom puts up the reminder, guys, please subscribe to my new channel, Roman Empire Matters. I have not put very much on there yet, but I have so much content, and there's a reason why I haven't put everything on there yet. Because I might not have much internet connectivity in April and May. So there's a reason for that. I have a lot of content that I have to put up there. So don't worry, it is coming. Um, soon. Stavros says he can't wait for the Oscars. A lot of people are eager for that. I think, if anything, I loved how the Golden Globes turned out, and I'm guessing the Oscars will be very similar. I wonder what's going to happen in the BAFTAs tonight. Russ, do you have any predictions or thoughts about who could get what or should get what at the BAFTAs tonight?
I don't tend to watch them, or I perhaps I should, but they're not really of interest to me, to be honest with you. So no, no predictions, but I suspect Oppenheimer and Barbie will will do well.
Yeah, and I'm guessing Oppenheimer is really gonna be the one that's gonna get Best Picture. They're gonna get best, everything. I think they're gonna certainly do incredibly well as far as I'm concerned, and it's because it deserves it. It's a fantastic film, and, certainly excited for that. Wex Luther is here, Russ.
I better read this one. Oi, Russ, you said Statham was everybody's favourite Cockney hardman. You taking the piss? You're bang out of order, son, telling those porkies. Sir Michael Caine would like a word, and not for a cuppa. Was that is that okay, Wex? Was that hard enough for you, man? Suppose you could do it, Statham. Are you taking the piss? You're bang out of order, son, telling those porkies. That's probably more Jason Statham, isn't it?
That was really good, Russ. I enjoyed that immensely. Um,
Just to say that, I think Mario said he's in Lisbon. That's where I'm gonna be, man. Um, Let me
wow.
double check it with Wendy. I'm certainly flying into Lisbon because I've got to wait there for an hour for Wendy to arrive. So we'll definitely be there, and it's not a hellish flight for me. It's like a couple of hours from Heathrow. So let can you email me at contact@russellwhitfield.com, Tom, if you wouldn't mind, contact@russellwhitfield.com, just plonking that in the chat so Mario can copy it, and we'll make a plan.
That is so exciting, guys. Certainly, love to hear
If
these
you want to
details.
meet up, you might not like me. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I think he wants to meet up. I think he does. And certainly, this is very interesting. Stavros says that Kane was such a good supporter for fighting movies. That is very interesting. I
I,
didn't know anything about that.
I don't
Um,
understand that one, Stavros.
maybe it means he's a fan of them. I'm not sure. And that old Yorkshire geek says you're
You're
only
only
supposed
supposed to blow the
the
bloody
bloody.
doors off.
Oh, I love it. Action
Don't
flick.
throw bloody spears at me. That's it. It's the whole thing's gonna. All the English people in the chat now. It's just gonna be wall to wall Michael Caine quotes probably.
Oh, and Mario says it would be an honor, Russ. That is so wonderful.
Oh,
We're
that's too
looking
sweet, man.
forward.
I'm sure it's not. I mean, we're just gonna get drunk, but it'll be good. We can bore Wendy to tears about swapping anecdotes about our Lord and Savior Zack Snyder. I mean, it's going to be great, man.
It sounds like you guys are going to have such a great time. Mario says he's going to mail you soon.
Sweet.
That is so exciting. You guys are the best. I love this stuff. And you know something, Russ, you and I have kind of been watching so many fantastic
Sorry,
action. Yeah.
yeah, Stavros elaborates. He's also talking about action flicks. Sorry
Yes.
for that. Okay,
No, it's
pray
all
continue.
good.
Forgive me.
Yes, and it's so wonderful that we are talking about one of our favorite genres here, on the channel. Yes, action flicks. This certainly has been something that has been traditionally very popular in pretty much with a lot of people who enjoy action, who enjoy martial arts, who enjoy films like this. I think what's interesting is that this is a very special year because we got a film that feels like it came out of nowhere, Russ. I mean, obviously, you and I were talking just a few weeks ago, or if it wasn't last week, is this the era of this solo action star, the solo film? We were talking about how much we enjoyed Extraction, how much we enjoyed a number of different films. We went down quite a list
Mm.
of incredible, incredible productions that it kind of feels like not a lot of people are talking about. And out of nowhere comes an action flick, that and a military action flick that I was very surprised to see. Um, Russ, did you hear anything about this film um, before? Did you know about this
Yes, did
film?
because I follow a channel on YouTube called The Action Elite, which is run by a brilliant guy called Owen. He's Scottish, but he lives in Canada, and he has a Facebook page, and he's had that website for 1,000 years, and he gets all of the interviews, man. Like Owen on his website, he interviews everybody. Like
Mhm.
he's got all the contacts you could ever want. Um, and you get to hear about I get to hear about these things via there, which is why I watch so many action movies. So yeah, I'll see if I can find it while we're
Is
talking
it
about it.
is this it?
Have you
Is
got it?
this yeah, is this it?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, guys, check out the Action Elite, this YouTube channel that Russ is talking about, and certainly, you mentioned that you did see here on the Action Elite, um, something about this film that I'm kind of
Well,
talking
you'll see the reviews and stuff and the discussions more on their Facebook page, so that they have like a news page and a web, and they have the actionelite.com is their website, and it's an action news website. So anything that comes out vaguely with action, it'll be on the website. Their YouTube channel is more retrospectives, as you can see here. Discussing Bolo Young, discussing I Come in Peace, or Dark Angel, as it was called here, or Death Wish, or whatever it is. But I love those guys. I don't always agree with them as well, which is good.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. And so you said that you're subscribed to them and you'd heard about the movie through this
hmm
channel.
Correct. Yeah, on the YouTube, on their website and or Facebook. Like I
Okay,
say, their channel tends to be more retrospective. Looks at, looking back at the films of Jason Statham, or looking back at Steven Seagal's work, or whatever.
excellent, excellent. So Russ, you as I said, you and I've been talking about these different action films and how much we love them, and also noticing that they're not getting the attention as far as I'm concerned that they should when it comes to the quality of the films, and we're getting fantastic entertainment like this. There's one film in particular, and I'm sure many of you have heard about it or have seen it at the theaters, and it's a film called The Land of Bad. Land of Bad is the name of the film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many people here in the chat have heard of it, but I was completely unaware of it until literally a day or two ago. And, so I managed to see this film. It just so happens that you have also seen this film, correct?
Yes, I have. Did you get a chance to watch The Beekeeper and The Bricklayer?
I did not get a chance to watch The Beekeeper and The Bricklayer because after I saw Land of Bad, I wanted to see it again. So I watched it again.
Fucking hell, Oram. I sat up late
And
last night watching movies because I thought we were going to talk about,
I'm
for God's
sorry.
sake.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's not
I'm
good enough.
sorry.
Not good enough, mate. It's not good enough. Like, you sent me homework and then you're not here to mark it. It's just no good. Not
No,
good.
I'm sorry. I can't tell you how much I like this film. Like I was not expecting this kind of experience just now from this film because I don't necessarily want this to be um a spoiler show because the film literally just came out a few days ago in the theater. But I did want to say that I was not expecting this level of intensity from the film. I mean, like, I like this film so much, I want to buy the movie poster. That's how much I liked this film.
Wow.
Yeah, I really am in love with this film. I can't get over how amazing Russell Crowe is in it, how amazing the rest of the cast is in it. Um, it was really, really good. And I don't think you can tell from looking at the poster, like the poster does look great. It looks great. But what ends up happening in this film, it's not entirely apparent.
Doesn't advertise it. Do you know what I think we should do? Maybe put up possible spoilers in case we say something. And so guys, if you want to, we'll try to be careful. But in the course of the conversation, things are going to come out regarding the plot, right? So, but having said all of that, as brilliant as this film is, and it is really, really good, nothing really happens that you're not expecting. This film could have been made in 1987 or 1992 or 1999. It is of that ilk. Okay, so no big surprises really therein. But you are advised, I guess.
Yes, yes. There's no major surprises. It's just the delivery of the events in the film that I think come out so perfect here. And
hmm
oftentimes we get action films where certain elements of this genre have to be presented in a certain way, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes the film can feel very disjointed. One film that does it perfectly would be like the one shot films that I think just
Mm.
go so smoothly. One shot and one more shot, certainly, but this is dramatically different from that. And I think that they kind of like hit on something that I feel could continue. I don't feel like this could be the last, let's say, film in this. I feel like they could continue this on, and it could be a series. I don't know what they plan on doing, Russ, but what I did want to mention is it stars the Hemsworth brothers,
Mhm.
Liam and Luke, who are wonderful in this, along with Russell Crowe,
Should be
who
said they're not playing brothers in
they are
this.
not playing brothers in this film. And essentially what happens is that I think it's Liam ends up tagging along with sort of these special forces guy. He himself is not a special force individual in this
Mhm.
in this unit, but somehow he's been brought into this to do an operation. So with that being said, he's essentially with, kind of like the best of the best.
Mhm.
And there's this line in there where he says, I'm not I think he says
He says
level
he
1
says,
or
"I'm not tier 1."
tier
So
1. I'm not.
he's not a tier 1 operator, and they're
And
all like, "Oh, okay."
and there he's like, "And yet you walk among us." And I'm like,
Yes.
these guys have like the one-liners coming and going, like it's the smack talk is coming and going. They are alpha males. Like these guys are all alpha males. I'm not saying Liam isn't, but he is not on this level. For example, one of the first things they ask him is if he has a certain type of training, and he's like, "What?" Like he's not expecting anybody to ask him these questions because he doesn't do that. And
Yeah, so if
this
this for a halo jump, isn't it? It's, for a sort of high altitude jump. Well, I don't know what halo actually stands for. High altitude, low opening,
yeah,
maybe. So they'll
yeah.
jump out of the airplane and then they'll open the chute like really close to the ground. I think that's what it
Yeah,
stands for.
10,000 feet, I guess, might be the minimum. I'm not sure, guys. I'm sure somebody in this chat knows the answer. So if you do know that answer, go ahead and say it. But what I am going to say is it's the delivery of all this, because it starts off kind of light, and then you realize that what they're actually going on is a very serious situation.
Hmm.
And you almost, I'm not going to say you, but I think it was nice because they kind of gently ease you into what's happening, and you realize how serious this whole thing is. And I think that versus, you know, just pounding you over the head with what's going to happen isn't always the best way for you to find out. Let's say as a viewer, especially somebody as naive as myself, I'm not well versed in military operations, but I enjoyed this so much. Russ, I think that Liam and and Luke are good together on the screen. Like this whole unit that they created and the scenario is very appealing. It's very satisfying to watch. Did you feel that way, Russ, when you watched this film?
First of all, thank you, Joe Tyson, for high altitude, low opening. And Luminara's here. Hello, Luminara.
Hi, Luminara.
Um, yeah, this one for me, I know you loved it. For me, it's got a few faults. Nothing that which ultimately detracts from the ultimate awesomeness of the film, because it is awesome and it does deliver on all levels. But the two things that I didn't enjoy about this film were actually two things that you call out as positives. So first of all, for me, was it actually spent a little bit too long at the beginning messing around and not really with absolutely 0 point to anything. The reason being, we don't actually find out. There's no real character work in there. There's a lot of sneaking around in the jungle, and there's a lot, there's the false alarm that they have with the wild animals and all that business. So it's a bit of a nothing burger for me, like the opening part of this, and that could and I believe should have been cut down. Um, there's only one important thing that happens in that whole opening scene. I mean, look, here's the thing: they make a big deal about the Fruit Loops and the Frosties. Like that's like the opening sort of image is like him trying to sort of decide, and maybe that there's some sort of philosophical statement to be made, like a choice that he has to make. But it was certainly lost on me why that was a big deal. But the whole point of that opening act, which went on, I think, maybe 10, 15 minutes too long, was when one of the operators, they're Delta Force. So they're Delta males, in fact, not Alpha males. This Delta Force that he's seconded to is one of the guys. Um, and I don't know if this is because I write these things or if it was obvious, but to me, this was like really, really, really obvious when the Delta Force operator turns around and says to him, like they have that sort of tier one conversation. And he says, "Here you are, yet you walk among us." And then he says, "Yeah, what are you going to do, man, when you've run out of bullets, when you've run out of batteries, when you've when there's no communications, when you just got to rely on yourself? That's what a real warrior is." And I thought, oh, okay, so you've just stated the theme of this movie, so we can expect Chris Hemsworth to, in fact, lose all of his stuff and so on and so on. So that for me was a little bit obvious. Okay, so it's like, okay, so now we kind of know what in terms of the theme stated being as obvious as it was. Having said that, with this being a bit of a predictor movie, which is fine, it's like comfort food. It was brilliant. We kind of knew that he was going to end up in trouble anyway. The second thing that I didn't enjoy about this movie was, in fact, Russell Crowe. Um, Simply because, hello, Chef Nation, and I hope, yes, you are beautiful, man. You are a
Oh, look at
beautiful
the
person.
beautiful little dog in Chef Nation. Hi.
hmm Um, Having known someone that was very, very high up in the United States Air Force, of which Russell Crowe is a captain in, he's obese, man. That wouldn't be allowed. So Rob talks about verisimilitude all of the time. There are fitness standards that have to be adhered to, the United States military, and Russell Crowe would not pass muster. Sorry, but that really, really took me out of it. I get that they have a lax operation. That's the whole point about that operation, that he works in that particular segment of the airport, doesn't have particularly good leadership, and it has very, very lax discipline. But there's lax discipline and there's lax discipline. And that is one of them. Like the Hawaiian shirt, I got it. So if you had Gerard Butler or Aaron Eckhart, or give me another worthy, any other worthy that was actually in shape, the whole thing lands better. But that said, his performance was really, really good. He was really funny, and the character was really, really great, and his arc was really, really brilliant. But he was distracting because, let's face it, he's put on some timber, and when you're portraying a military man, you shouldn't be in that state. That, like, however, let's spin that round. You are not going to fund a movie with Liam and Luke Hemsworth and Milo Ventimiglia, I think is how you pronounce his surname. Like, they're not going to get you. They're not going to get you the millions that is required. But Russell Crowe signs on, then all of a sudden you've got more money to play with, and I suspect that that was it. He liked the screenplay, he wanted to do it. But yeah, you want to talk about verisimilitude, that kind of wrecked it for me. But those are my only two criticisms of this movie.
And I respect that, Russ, and you are absolutely right about those criticisms. And I guess I don't have any criticisms of the film, which shows you that I'm not looking at this objectively whatsoever,
Mhm.
because I just feel like this was maybe just so refreshing to see. And it is true. I was disturbed to see Russell Crowe wearing like that Hawaiian shirt underneath his uniform, and like he isn't meeting the grooming standard. So we know that he's like his whole thing is out of order. In fact, he gets called out on it while he's there. And Stavros says that he's been, I'm assuming he means nailing it since the Pope's exorcist.
No, I think he means the opposite. I think he's
Nailing
saying that he's
it.
been phoning in his performances since then.
Oh, okay. Because I wasn't quite sure what that meant. Oh, that's interesting. He says, I think he got depressed on how Marvel deleted his scenes. And Irene mentions that when her dad was in the Air Force, he got too heavy. He was put on Fat Boy Watch. He
Mhm.
had so much time to get back to standards. They have a minimum, they put you on a diet. They literally put you on a diet from what
Yeah, I've been told that as well. My ex's dad was a pilot before he was like a colonel and all that side of things. And George was telling me, yeah, like they had to be a certain weight. Like you can't have fat pilots for obvious reasons. Now it's a little bit different in Russell Crowe's case. He's a drone operator. Nevertheless, you still have to meet fitness standards. And I just, yeah, it was just a little bit distracting for me. But as I said, you've got Russell Crowe in your movie. You're not going to tell him, okay, well, great, thanks for signing up, Russ, and now get yourself down the gym. I mean, it's not going to happen. So I think they would take the star power.
Yeah, and Russell Crowe is still an attractive man, and if he didn't have those extra pounds on him, he'd certainly be a silver fox hottie. Obviously he can probably drop these pounds. He can. He's capable
Well,
of
yeah,
it.
look, fair play to him. Like, he's in, what is he, 60 now? He can look and he can
It's
do
good.
whatever the hell he wants. He's still a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant actor, a fine actor, one of the best of his generation, in fact. An absolutely fantastic, but the wrong actor for that part. If
Yeah,
if
and
you'll if you'll forgive me for that, or the wrong physicality for that part, because as an actor, he nailed it. He was brilliant. You cared about his situation and the ridiculousness of it from the one side, but yet even though his missus is making ridiculous demands on him, you kind of understand it, right?
well, I think what's interesting about this is that it does reflect on health, like health standards, in addition to like not being allowed. You know, I am concerned about his health being that heavy, so that's something else too, and that does also distract you from concentrating and watching the character. Um,
Sure, but he's living the good life, and he's Australian. He's probably sinking the two e's and throwing a few shrimps on the Barbie and all that sort of thing.
Stavros Stavros says, that being said, that the Pope's Exodus was the top 10 Razzie last year, but it was his guilty pleasure and he saw it 7 times. Good for you, Stavros.
Yeah, nice one,
Good for
Stavros. If you
you.
like it, screw
Mhm.
what everybody else says. Like I'm a DOA apologist. With Holly Valance and Natasha Malty and oh, what's her name, Jamie Presley and all that. It's a video game adaptation, and it's one of the worst films ever made, apparently. However, I've always really, really, really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Wex says, I just watched the trailer and the first thing I thought was Crow isn't looking so good.
Dude,
Yeah.
dude, the film's worth a watch though. Like going,
Yes.
like if you can just sort of think, okay, well, Russell Crowe's, you know, being no stranger to the Tuies and the Barbie. If you can move past that, it's on it. Look, man, it is 2 hours well spent, especially like I don't know you no, I don't know. I'm guessing all of you guys watch the same channels that I watch that have the same complaints week in and week out. And as I've been saying week in and week out, you know what? If you want the entertainment that these certain channels are saying that they want and that they need and that everything is like this, no, man, everything is not as they would portray it. And this film is a stellar example of a high budget or medium budget, high octane movie that absolutely delivers everything that I want out of a movie and that they claim that they want. What is Mario saying? To all of you, if someone had never seen The Way of the Gun with Benicio del Toro, Ryan Philippe, Juliette Lewis, and James Caan, it's one of the best movies I have ever seen in my life. I have not seen that movie, Mario, and I will watch it after my latest Frank Grillo Scott Adkins movie that I'm going to watch directly after this. I was going to watch it beforehand and text Rita earlier this morning and say, hey, Rita, you've got to watch this film. And of course, I didn't get around to doing it because I had a long conversation with my child. But there you go.
What's the film, Russ?
I forget the title of it now. That's really annoying. Hold on, I'll tell you.
Oh my
Um, and if I could type, that would be good as well. Frank Grillo, Lights Out. It's
Oh,
called.
I can't wait to see this. And certainly,
It's got
we've got
Dermot Mulrooney in it, and it's look. I have to tell you, it's an original plot. It's about a drifting ex-soldier who turns to becomes an underground street fighter with the help of a just-released ex-con, pitting them both against a crime boss, corrupt cops, and hired killers. Never seen that plot before. Looking forward to it.
It sounds amazing, and I certainly will, watch that and also Avengement, which I haven't seen. I might do a, Atkins doubleheader, um, today. So, and I'm looking forward to that and discussing that with you too, Russ. Um, certainly, I have to say, Wex Luther says Russ Whitfield defending the honor of Russells everywhere.
Yeah, me, Russell Crowe, and Russell Brand. We're going to create the triumvirate of Russells. There you go.
Oh my gosh. I gotta say, Jamin D is in the house. Hey, Jamin.
Oh, Jamin, I was going to ask, is the T20 coming up? Because I keep seeing like stuff on Sky for about the T. I actually sat yesterday and rewatched England winning the World Cup in 2010. I really enjoyed it because I knew what was going to happen. Well, I say when England won it, it's when South Africa won the World Cup for England, but nevertheless. But yeah, um, Jamin, if you could let me know if you think of it.
And that old Yorkshire geek says Russell is a Leeds United supporter. So
Please, 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 please.
Tom
Is he now?
Tom Jr. Jackson says, I recently bought the film The Way with Martin Sheen. It's an excellent film that came out like 10 years ago, but is more relevant now since the pandemic. Thank you so much for that, Tom Jr. Jackson. And also, he says he's gotten 12 Angry Men as well. You know something? Darth Plato says the retirement age for officers in the US is 64 and Crow is 59. Okay, that's interesting. Jamin D says, is it not in June?
I don't know. I don't know. I just like Sky have been playing loads and loads and loads of T20, retrospectives, how the 2010 was won, how that was won. So I was just wondering. I didn't check. I just saw you pop up, and I know you love the cricket, so I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, that's a good question. And, I also wanted to talk about, so of course this is Liam Hemsworth, but there's Vito, I can't remember his last name, who was just stellar in this. And I always love films where a lot of times you'll have, kind of like more experienced, a more experienced man will be passing the torch or helping, someone with less experience. And we do kind of see that in here. And I really like that a lot because he was very encouraging. I think that this character that he plays exactly what we expect from an operator. What did you think, Russ?
I think I was really amazed by his performance, although I shouldn't be, because this chap, of course, he's been a character actor for many, many years now. Of course, I hear the name, yeah, it's Milo or Milo Ventimiglia, I think his name is. I
Yes.
see his name or his face, or I
Yes.
hear the name, I instantly think of what it's Rocky's sort of, nerdy son from Rocky Balboa, who's like in his 20s, and Rocky's, gives him that famous speech, it's not about how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit. It's delivered to this actor. And then I realized, of course, that film came out in 2006 and is nearly 20 years ago. So this guy's now in his 40s. And of course, it just doesn't, they never age, do they? In my mind, he's still Rocky's son. But, he's not. He's now, old enough to be Rocky, right? Rocky retired, in fact. And his performance was understated. But I think when you picture him as Robert Balboa, he's quite a slight man. He's not, big and buff like Rocky, but in this, that dude is in some shape. In fact, they were all in some shape, and
Yes.
I'm sure you enjoyed it when they,
I sure did.
in the tunnel scenes when they all get down
Yes.
to their shorts,
Oh, it was steamy.
um,
It was
and
like their bodies were covered in sweat and blood. And let me tell you, Russ, all sorts of things were going through my mind. I thought to myself, oh my God, how am I going to keep it together during this scene where they just have to muster up the strength, Russ, to get out of that hellhole? But boy, did they look hot. It was really just I was like, I can't. I'm like, this is a military action. This is a military action. But Russ, it was sexy as hell. I just was like, oh my gosh. It really was amazing, Russ. It
just to
was
sidetrack, thank you, Jamin. He's just told me there's nothing coming up. He thinks they're just promos. I appreciate you looking. Like I said, I just saw you pop in, and I thought, oh, I must ask him because I haven't bothered to look myself. It just occurred to me now. So thank you.
yes. And Tom Jr. Jackson, guys, has his own YouTube channel. Please support the other creators in our community and subscribe to his channel. You won't be disappointed. I have to tell you, Russ, the conditioning of these, first of all, yes, it is true that I talk about the conditioning and how important it is for us to see when men are playing operators or soldiers, they have to look like soldiers. And this goes to your point about Russell Crowe in
Mm.
this. This clearly is it's such a contrast to what we're presented with Russell Crowe and even his coworker, that very nice lady there who's also kind of like a little bit heavier than maybe she should be, but at least she's in full uniform. She's completely appropriately dressed and in uniform, and we know why she's there. There's no question she's not wearing a Hawaiian shirt underneath. She's not, everything is tailored properly.
Yes, I was going to mention this actually. You must be speaking about his person of color and empowered co-worker, right? That doesn't do or say anything that you would expect someone of that ilk to do in this film. Like, she is just his partner and they love each other and they're really great friends. And at no stage in this movie is anybody lectured by that lady on, what they're like, and on how things are being unfair or anything like that. Again, the only politics that there are in this movie is America is good and Islamic extremist terrorists are bad. That is the political message of this film, and I loved it. I
And
think I think there's been so much navel gazing and dissing of the United States in recent years, often by Americans, which upsets me a great deal. I've said it to you, I've said it to Rob, I've said it to Wendy. It's the greatest country in the world, bar none. Like, bar none. Like, you guys have no idea how great you've got it, and those values that you espouse should be protected. It is the land of the free, and there we've got Milo and Luke over there smashing down righteous fury on those that attack that freedom. So from that perspective, there was no politics in there. It was just, yeah, we're just going to blow up some bad guys. Loved it. Simple, brilliant. More of this. And also, the bricklayer and the beekeeper were the same. There was no commentary that therein. It was, yes, these people are here to defend freedom. Good. Freedom needs to be defended by buff guys with guns and bombs. I love it.
And Russ, it's precisely scenes like this that I love so much. Mainly because I almost have to take a second look sometimes, because for a few seconds there when I first saw Vito in this, and I read who was in this film, but I for a few seconds I thought that was Scott Adkins. Just I was like, wait a minute, that looks like Scott Adkins. Is he in this film? And it's not him. But I think that they have, obviously Vito is, I don't know whether he's probably not a martial artist. I'm not sure. But honestly, I think that element that both of them are able to capture is really just movie gold. It's screen gold, because I can't take my eyes off of Vito here. Like, he's standing next to an incredibly handsome man as well,
Mm,
but you can tell right away that he's leading Luke here, and Luke needs his help. This is something that I thought, when you talk about chemistry between a group of men acting in very difficult conditions, harsh conditions, we kind of see it here. And this is, just another example, as I said, where you have a more senior experienced soldier who does have to command and help a less experienced soldier. He needs that guidance. He wouldn't even be alive if Vito's character was not there. What do you think, Russ?
well, that you got him confused with Scott Adkins is a testament to how hard this guy worked, because Adkins is always in stellar shape. He's always ripped. He always looks amazing. And the fact that you got him is confused is testament to how hard that man must have worked to get himself into that shape. It must have taken months. Um, what I enjoyed about this and I wish they'd changed one line slightly in this to sort of highlight it. But hey, Brogu, yes, we are having a wonderful day, and I hope you are too, man. Um, yeah, is that Hemsworth's character? does have an arc in this movie, but it is not the arc that you would expect, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. And I thought that was undermined slightly by this one line that Milo Ventimiglia says in the film, is right at the end when they go back to do the thing that they have to do, even though you think that they have to get away, but no, they've got to go back. It's not a spoiler, guys. You'll see it. It's really obvious because you get to this point in the movie, you're thinking, hang on, there's like half an hour left, so it's fairly obvious something else is going to go down. He says, Milo says to Luke's character, look, man, you certainly earned your tier one stripes today, or something like that. And I kind of wish he'd said, you keep this up, you'll almost be tier one. I
Yeah.
would have much preferred it because they've been giving him shit,
Yeah,
because
because
they're
the only easy day is yesterday. These guys are not gonna just throw out, "Here, you're part of the team now," comment.
yes. But it was it's one line, and I wish they'd done that. But what I liked about Hemsworth's arc is it's not like so why is he there with tier one Delta Force operators? He's there because he's the comms guy. He's the guy that communicates with Russell Crowe and the drone pilots, and the satellite people, and he's the techie, and he's got the iPhones and the this and the that and the other for pinpointing and coordinating satellites and drone strikes and things like that. That's why he's been dropped in with this lot. And although they give him loads of shit, they don't treat him like he's not wanted there. Like they know that they need him there, and that's when they have the conversation with the other Delta Force guy when he says, what are you going to do when your batteries run out and you've run out of bullets and you don't have anything and da 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 da. Although that was a hold on, let me see what Jamin's saying. What I worry about is we don't have this generation's of action stars, and I hope we get someone from Hollywood in the near future that a new generation can look up to, like we did with our favorites in the past. Okay, let me finish what I was saying before, Jamin, and then I'll address that point. So yeah, Hemsworth's arc is not about him becoming a tier one operator. It is about him running out of batteries and then running out of bullets, and then he loses his gun, and then he gets into a situation. Let's say it. Okay, so spoiler. So close your ears. I'm going to count down from five, five, four, three, two, one. Okay, so spoiler coming. He ends up getting captured, and of course, then he ends up in his underwear, and he loses everything, and all of that stuff. Um, of course, it being an action movie, he escapes and then he becomes a monster. He literally is down to a machete at the end of it. And then when he ultimately has his final conflict with the terrorist guy, like he does one thing and you think, oh, is that it? And then he does something else, and it's like, okay, so he's embraced that side of him that soldier was telling him about, and I thought that was really really powerful. I really thought that was brilliant. Like I really thought it's going to bottle it. When he does the one thing, and then they just thought, no, that's not what would happen. If this guy needs to complete his story, he needs to complete the path that the Marine, that the Delta Force guy set him on with when he stated the theme, and they absolutely deliver. They absolutely deliver. It's
Yeah.
great. It's four for me. It's 4 out of 5.
Yeah, yeah, and I said 4.5 out of 5,
Mm,
because they didn't have to let us see, like, for example, I always say that there's, and we're still in the spoiler, somewhat semi-spoiler zone.
mm.
For me, guys, I am not in the military. I'm a woman, so keep that in mind. Most of you guys in the chat are men. I think it's only Irene and I here. But just keep in mind, I'm looking at this from a woman's perspective because I'm still always amazed. I'm not 20, and it's been many years that I've been watching films like this, Russ, but I'm still always amazed at what a man can do. So keep in mind when I'm watching this, I'm also watching it from the perspective of like, oh my God, you guys are incredible. So keep that in mind. I'm completely fascinated by what a man can do physically. It's absolutely intoxicating, and just it absolutely hypnotizes me, because even looking at them there, like I immediately am like, how are they handling all this? So anyway, once I get past that cave scene, Russ, where they're kind of in a cave and it's very dark and scary. for me, it's like it looks like game over. And I think what's really interesting is when you get to a point in a story where you think it's game over and it's convinced you that it's game over, you really are hooked in this story. I think
Mm,
that we get these twists and turns in this particular fashion where for them, their mentality is to never give up no matter what. I got the same feeling when I watched The Sound of Freedom. There
mm.
was one point where I thought, that's it, they're never going to get out of this jungle. They're never getting out. He went in there to rescue the kid. He's never coming out. He should have never gone in there. And I think that when this seems to happen, when you get this kind of, and you're kind of blinded, you don't know, because a lot of this is from the young soldier's point of view. A lot of what we're seeing is from his point of view. We're not seeing it from the more mature, experienced operator's point of view. And I had said, what's really interesting about the story is that it's not full on, doomsday like the Terminal List, where in the Terminal List, all of his friends get killed.
Mm.
There's no survivors. Like everybody's dead. I'm sorry for the Terminal List spoiler, but that's what happens. Versus other films that we've been seeing recently where everybody survives. That's not realistic. That's so
No.
not realistic. We can't have stories. I mean, ideally, we would hope that would happen, but we know that unfortunately people fall and they make sacrifices for others. And so that this story had both, like where it's, we do somehow get some payoff at the end, but it's not without a price that's paid for it. And we needed to see that, but also seeing this balance of what each person is capable of doing. Certain things worked in his favor. I'm just to be honest about it. Certain things worked in his favor. And so the question that I have in there, in regards, in your opinion, Russ, in your opinion, because I've never really seen him, I've never seen this Hemsworth brother in a film like this, both brothers, which was equally satisfying. Um,
Hmm.
I've never really seen them in this. Jamin talks about this generation's action star. Is Hemsworth our new action star, Russ?
Oh, well, he was in the Expendables too, wasn't he? Luke, he gets killed very, or Liam, sorry, he gets killed very early in that, but he's certainly in that. So, Jamin says, once again, what I worry about is we don't have this generation's action stars. I hope we get someone from Hollywood in the near future that the new generation can look up to as we did with our favorites in the past. Interesting. I wonder, because this has been addressed like oftentimes on many, many, many different podcasts, and the sort of common vernacular, the common wisdom is that we don't have any movie stars anymore, and that may well be true. Um, so if we talk about another Hemsworth, if we talk about Chris Hemsworth, the most famous one out of all of them, Extraction 1, Extraction 2, right, Jamin? Is that a Chris Hemsworth? Are you going to go onto Netflix or go to the cinema to watch the next Chris Hemsworth movie, or are you going to watch the next Extraction movie that Hemsworth is in? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm wondering now if we're getting a crop of people that have been in certain movies, like obviously Hemsworth, Chris is capitalizing on his Marvel appearances. He gets to make what he wants, and he's got more money than he'll ever need, so he can do projects that are attractive to him and get them off the ground. Then you've got his brother, who's in The Witcher, so he's got his franchise, and now he's in Land of Bad, making this kind of movie. As you know, Statham's been doing it for years. Stubble says, I think Adkins will explode on the screen in a big movie in the next couple of years, and people will go back and discover his cat. You can only hope, but Adkins is 45 or 46 now. So, like you're looking at Stallone and all those guys in their 70s. Well, Adkins is of the pre Van Damme era. So Van Damme's 60s, Michael Jai's getting up there, and Adkins is of the same era as Michael Jai, where they're, the 40s approaching 50s now. Whereas Luke and Liam Hemsworth are not of that era. So I don't know if it's about action stars so much as action franchises or action movies, if you like. And I don't know the answer to that. I'll be interested to hear what you think, man. But that's kind of my take on it. I think it's more about the film that they're in and the strength of the trailer that you see, and it might have a star like Russell Crowe attached to it, and it'll have some young, good-looking guy in it, like Chris Hemsworth or Liam Hemsworth or Luke Hemsworth, whoever it happens to be, and you'll think, oh, "Fuck, that looks great. I'll watch that." That's my thought.
And that's a very good point, and I do want to concur with Irene. Yes, I remember working out at the gym in the base. All the eye candy. How could Land of Bad be so damn good, Irene? Irene, I want to hear your comments after you watch this film, and I think you know what I mean. Oh my gosh, it's just it felt like you were in some kind of, I don't know, uh some kind it was almost it felt very sexual. It was not a sexual moment, but it felt very
No.
sexual. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't concentrate." It was really intense. But I think that there's scenes for everybody and for very specific reasons. Certainly, my mind raced a little bit, but I think that even for if it was supposed to be scary, and it obviously was going to scare me to death. Maybe for some of you guys, it wasn't that scary, but for me, like, I was terrified when I saw where they were. I was like, it's over,
But this film did a great job because, like, the villains, he's an Islamic terrorist. He's an absolute piece of shit. He's scum. He's absolute scum. And these people absolutely deserve everything that they get. The bad guys in the movie are hateful. They're not set up, of like, well, this happened and this bad thing, terrible thing happened to him, and that made him drive over the. No, he's just a scumbag, and he gets righteous fury delivered to him. It's great. It doesn't. It's not asking you to think too hard about the wider reaching, consequences on the geopolitical stage of what they're doing. No, they're just sending in fucking airplanes and marines and guns and soldiers and Delta Force and handsome Australian guys and blah, 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 blah. Brilliant. Loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, and I think yes, they are incredibly handsome. Honestly, I don't think there are any bad-looking men in this film,
There are
Russ.
not.
There's not even the bad guys are good looking. So goodness gracious. This they really did a great job. And I always say that you always play to a man's, best, how to compliment any man. And I think that this film does that too. There's a scene where there are two soldiers, enemy soldiers in a house, someone's house,
Mm.
and they're kind of like going through all the guy's shit, like, oh, what does he have here? Kind of looking at the guy's collection or whatever. And even those scenes are satisfying. I think it's really interesting, Russ, because the sense of not knowing what they were up against, because maybe those guys are also specially trained. It felt very intimidating, and it was nice to be like, well, those guys are obviously this. We didn't. No one told us what their abilities were. So,
Mm.
they're kind of going in, although we can tell from the tone in the beginning of the film, in the helicopter. I think they were no, sorry, in the airplane, that the operators knew that this was going to be bad, and he tried to warn Hemsworth, the younger Hemsworth, very early on, what he was up against. But I think, just like me, I'm not going to say it's not true that he didn't understand what he was up against, but if it were me, it would take me quite some time to realize the seriousness of this situation, and then say, "Oh my God, I don't know how this is going to work, or what's going on." Um, Now, Tom Jr. Jackson mentions Chris Hemsworth is filming Limitless season 2 for Disney Plus. I did cover Limitless season 1 here on the channel, in a sense, to looking at your health and addressing health concerns. And I think that he was also very good in that. But I don't even know. It seems like Chris Hemsworth is obviously excellent in everything that he does. All three of these brothers, here he is, the two other Hemsworth brothers. I think there's five of them. I don't remember how many. But
They're like
they
this century's answer to the Baldwin brothers, aren't they?
they really are. They have doing so well. And I he was one of the things I actually liked in Thor Love and Thunder, when he pretended to be Thor. And it was almost like this theater group in the story within the
That's
story.
their go-to thing, isn't it? The sort of the sort of middle-aged style play. What is Jamin saying here? So Chris Hemsworth was not an action star before Extraction, but I always wanted him to be in one once because when you see him, you can see the potential. I think he doesn't. He's not as huge as Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? But he has a touch of the Schwarzeneggers about him, in that he's probably about 6'2" or 6'3", or maybe even 6'4". He's a massive unit, Chris Hemsworth. So when he's in that room in Extraction 1, and he's beating the fuck out of all of those Indian guys, and there's machetes flying around, and he's throwing them through doors and kicking them through doors and all that sort of thing. With Because he's such a big dude, you can see him sort of walking through lesser chaps, you know. Um, so yeah, I think I love it. I love it. The action
Yeah.
movie's back, guys.
And here it says, oh yeah, there was one other one. Jamin D says, it's like when you see an actor and you can 99% of the time guarantee whether they can show or deliver action. Yes, it is absolutely Jamin D, the Hemsworth brothers. This is the truth.
Yeah,
Um, Maria,
encapsulated much more succinctly than that's basically what I'm saying. Yes, thank you.
absolutely. Maria with T and Telly's here. Hi, Maria. How are you? Good morning to you. Oh, thank you, Maria. Maria, have you seen this film? I was going to say, go ahead and watch it. I don't know if you're into action, but Maria, you will enjoy this film. I guarantee you there's a nice surprise at the end. Um, certainly do check it out if you're into this. And I hope you're having a great day, Maria. Guys, check out Maria with T and Telly. She has her own YouTube channel. It's absolutely wonderful. Such a pleasure to see you here this morning. You know something, Russ, as this story also progresses, um, and I do, as I said, I like the dynamic. Here's another character. I can't remember this. Bishop. This might be Bishop.
Bishop, yeah.
Um, we get to see all the different groups. You know, as a sniper guy, and then there's, you know, here just the different parts. Here's maybe some production photos, and obviously the director here. I think that for what we saw, and for a film like this, we got a lot more than what we would maybe this is kind of the new era of a lot of these action films where we are not only going to get typically one element. I feel like we got so many elements in the film too. And I also feel, as I said, I feel like there's a chance for a sequel. Russ, do you think there could be a sequel to this?
There probably will be, but I kind of hope that there isn't. I don't think it needs a sequel. I think it's a, you know, it's a one and done. But as I was, you know, sort of discussing with Jamin just now, you know, Land of Bad 2, yeah, they could absolutely do it. And now he has been, you know, seconded as a tier one operator, and they have to go in and do something again. But my question is, do I really want to see this again? You know, he's a man with a certain set of skills, and his skills are, you know, as a comms officer, and he's, you know, directing strikes, and that's what he does. And this is very much like Behind Enemy Lines, with Hansel. What's his name? The actor that plays Hansel,
Um
Owen Wilson.
Wilson,
And
yes.
you know, and it's very similar to that. It's very similar to sort of Bat 21 with Danny Glover and Gene Hackman in it. It's exactly that story of the older grizzled veteran that's now sort of like, you know, desk bound or base bound, seeing the young guy who's trapped in a horrible place behind enemy lines. And that's how they deliver the character moments of this film. That's how they did it in Behind Enemy Lines. It's how they do it in Bat 21. It's the radio conversation between the young guy and the older mentor that's on the other end of the phone trying to get him through it. But yeah, a sequel, I guess. I can certainly imagine that they will do if this does well, and I hope it does do well in the same way that Beekeeper has done astoundingly well. So yes, there will be a Beekeeper too, and I think Beekeeper lends itself much more to it than this film does, because the whole the whole point of this is that he's not prepared for it. So do we want to see another movie where he is prepared for it? Well, no, not particularly. You know, like I think it's a one and done, and I loved it. But hopefully, this will give him some cachet now to go on and be a spy, or go on and be a special forces guy, or go on and be, you know, a mercenary or whatever he's going to do next. But I just, I'm so encouraged by by the recent things that I've watched. I saw The Bricklayer, which I thought was really good, and obviously The Beekeeper. I'm going to watch Lights Out just now, and these, you know, I went through these films are coming thick and fast now. Some of them are theatrical, some of them are direct, you know, DVD, DTV things. Um, but there is a glut of action coming our way for 2024, and I'm happy. I'm made. This channel is called Positive Fandom, and it's so great to have been speaking now for the past 3 weeks. I think it has been just on films that we've seen and films that we've loved and how great they are. There's no messaging in these movies. There's nobody wagging their finger at you about left or right or black or white or anything like that. It's nothing to do with that. It's just about beating people up, blowing shit up, and telling us an entertaining story without any other agenda other than to entertain us. And thank God, and well done, action movies, for coming back and doing all this stuff.
Absolutely, Russ. I couldn't agree more. And Jamin D says, Land of Bad 2. Ha! Extraction number 3. Ha! Chris and Liam team up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it could be part of the same cinematic universe. There's absolutely no reason to say that these two guys could not exist in the same universe, and that Big Chris is, in fact,
Crossover.
you know, his Australian cousin or his Australian brother or whatever. Because that's what I do like about um, Extraction. Actually, there seems to be a misplaced wisdom that American audiences won't get behind a character if he's not American, and they didn't embrace that at all in Extraction. He's an Aussie, and everybody loved it. So I think that's a bit of a misnomer. But in this, he obviously had to be American because it was an American mission. But you get my point.
And Irene says, I just watched Behind Enemy Lines again when I was in the hospital. Yeah, pretty mama. Give me some of that Dixieland. Come on and take me by the hand. I think that's what he sings when he's kind of walking away from the plane. Yes, Irene, I did like that. And let's see. Wex Wither says you can get a glut of action when you don't spend 300 million a pop for one.
That's
Interesting.
right, and you don't need it. You don't need it, Wex. And this is kind of the point. What are these, like, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 million dollar films? Okay, that's a staggering amount of money for us, for anybody to imagine. But in the grander scheme of things, of the crap that they've been pumping out lately, and then here we are, we're making these little profitable movies. I'm pretty sure this will be Lionsgate or Harvey Lerner or somebody like that will be behind, or the Harvey Lerner was certainly behind the Bricklayer. That's a Rennie Harlan movie. People don't come cheap. It had Aaron Eckhart in it. Nina Dobrev was in it. This is a good movie. So yeah, a good movie with decent actors or great actors actually. And Aaron Eckhart, he's absolutely fantastic. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Yeah, I'm just thrilled. Thrilled.
It is so good. And I want to say a special welcome to Mrs. Dadman Walking 55.
Hello.
Hello, Mrs. Dadman Walking 55, rating with positive vibes and maybe snacks. So good to see you. Hope you are well today. I don't know if you had a chance to catch this film, but it is such a pleasure um, seeing you here today. Welcome to Sunday Brunch. And right back at you is Dad Man Walking 55. Guys, Dad Man Walking 55 has his own
Oh,
YouTube channel right here on YouTube. Hope you guys check it out. Rating from Mrs. Dad Man Walking 55 with positive vibes and maybe snacks. Such a welcome to both of you. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Such a pleasure seeing you. We're talking action films, Dad Man Walking 55 and Mrs. Dad Man Walking 55. Sure hope you guys got a chance to see Land of Bad is what we're talking about, and really just so excited about it. Also wanted to mention Irene says, I haven't seen Commando in forever, and I'd watch OG Predator though. And Mario talks about Proof of Life is another great Russell Crowe.
yeah, I haven't seen. Was that Meg Ryan? Was she in that? And the husband gets kidnapped. I can't remember. It was a really good film though.
Mm-hmm. And Stubble says, I'd say that half of my favorite movies in the last 10 years, in the last years have been non Hollywood productions. Very interesting.
When you say non-Hollywood productions, Stubble, are you saying foreign films? Oh, so I should say non-English speaking films, your Squid Games and your Korean movies and all that sort of thing, or are you saying movies that are made outside of the major studio uh, monopoly? So I would class Lionsgate and Saban and Blyberg and all these guys that are pumping out these movies. Certainly, Lionsgate's the biggest hitter out of all of those. But you've got these other companies like Saban and Blyberg and all of those guys that do make these sorts of movies. Or are you talking your Squid Games and Parasite and all that stuff? I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I do want to mention that Dad Man says, um, Love action movies, but not this one. Oh, okay. I know some of you are not gonna like every film, and that's totally fine. Certainly something to think
Let
about.
us know why, Dad, man.
Well, also let us know what you do like as well, Dadman, what some of your favorites are as well. We love to hear that too. Um, and he says, now I've got get the chopper stuck in my head.
Get to the chopper. I
That's
suspect likes both foreign and independent. Yeah, I'm really leaning into sort of more, or I've always have leaned into independent movies. So yeah, I'm with you there, mate. Not so much on the foreign stuff for me though. I must say.
And I want to thank Irene Jobson again for a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Irene. So generous. Says Sunday fun days. Love y'all. Well, we
We
love
love you
you,
too, and we're so
Irene.
proud of you, Irene. So proud of you.
Oh, he says he hadn't heard of this
Oh,
one.
I see. Yeah, dude, Dad, man. Goodness sake, check this film out. It's all sorts of good. I've got some issues, minor issues with it that I felt I wanted to call out just for the sake of the chat. But overall, for me, it's a four out of five. For our room, it's a 4.5 out of five. It just delivers, man. It could have been made, like I said earlier on. I think I don't think you were here for it, but I'll reiterate: it could have been made in 1987. It could have been made in 1992. It could have been made in 1999. It could even have been made in the early 2000s. It's just one of those films, has no particular agenda, not interested in preaching, just wants to deliver explosions and cool stuff.
And I also want to tell Mrs. Dadman Walking 55 to please do watch it with your spouse. It'll be a special moment together. I assure you, you're going to love it, especially those steamy cave scenes. If you know what I mean. So do check it out. I think it's wonderful. I even enjoyed some of, let's say, for all practical purposes, and you did already mention this, Russ, some of Russell Crowe's charm. He turns up the charm in this, and I know that Russell Crowe is a charmer. I think we both know he could charm anybody. What do you think, Russ?
He was a handsome man when he was younger, and probably still would be if he probably still is. I mean, I'm not a woman, so I wouldn't be able to comment on his sex appeal. He's not Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill gets a pass with me, but yeah, he's got all the charisma. He's brilliant. He's a brilliant actor. I just kind of wish that they'd have picked somebody else equally as brilliant, because just simply because of the verisimilitude, but the way he delivers that performance is great. He's very real in a film that is very sort of bloody and gutsy and action oriented, and there's loads of shit like this going on every 5 minutes, and then you sort of cut to the supermarket or whatever, and there's Russell Crowe just being normal, because of course, you know, that drone pilots and bombers and special forces guys and all that, well, they still go to Kroger or Walmart, wherever you happen to be in the United States. What's the other one called? Hannaford's.
Um,
Hannaford's is one. Whichever your chain is, guys.
yeah, exactly, Russ. And certainly there's so much in this film. I'd say there's something for everyone. Uh, I really did have some favorite action scenes. And I'm just gonna say, well, first of all, they were all fantastic. So
Mm.
there wasn't any like really bad scenes when it comes to the action. But I did love this night scene that felt so cool, Russ. It was cool. It was like there was danger close elements to it, and the bright lights, and it just was just
Is that the
very.
scene with the? Are you talking about the scene with the helicopter?
Yes, I
Yeah,
am.
that was awesome. It was absolutely awesome, and the way that they explained what was going on was just done really quickly and really efficiently, and I love that the sound design in this. Yeah, Dad Man Walking says Henry Cavill's abs and the dude from Reacher, not Tom Cruise, are very impressive. Even I noticed. Lol. Yeah, well, they're doing a film together soon, aren't they? The Ungentlemanly Warfare one, the Guy Ritchie one. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, and I think, Russ, a lot of times we know how challenging these scenes are to film, especially these night scenes, and to get the brightness right, to get the effects right. It didn't feel like it was CGI at all, Russ. It felt like they were exploding things legitimately. What do you think?
It had a very visceral feel to it. Certainly, if it was CGI, it was excellent CGI. And hey, maybe that's the thing. maybe if you're not spending $200 million on and just drenching the entire movie and the whole thing is done on a green screen, you can afford to put a couple of 100,000 into making your explosions look really good. But they looked real. It felt real. The action was visceral. The sound design was brilliant. You know, like they really had their. I don't know if it's accurate because I've never been shot at, but you know the of the bullets going past and the thuds and when people get hit and all of that stuff. It was, yeah, it was really good. It's just really good.
Oh
It's
gosh,
brilliant. I
it
can't
was brilliant.
complain.
Yeah. And I think that kind of like in the perspective of when they were talking about the time the time allowed or when the entire operation takes place, if it's 24 hours or 12 hours, or at some points where they were like, well, you've been on duty for 10 hours, can we stay on to the end of operation? Yes. Then after like it's hitting the 24-hour point, you would kind of like say, gee, I don't know,
Mm,
this is a little kind of a long time to be on duty, and I can understand the concerns even on that side, Russ. But I think also the notion of them wanting to be there, wanting to stay on duty, because they know how important it is, and the safety of these men, the
mm.
safety of, these are the guys who are protecting our nation. It's so important. It's so amazing. Um, all right, Mario. This is making me
Well,
think a lot of other things. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Russ.
so Stubble says, "Do you think the rumors about Henry Cavill playing Captain Britain are accurate?" I doubt it. Stubble would be my guess. I mean, I'm sure if they offered him a truckload of money, he'd be nuts to say no. But I rather think, given now he's the Kevin Feige of the Warhammer 40k universe, and they must be looking at a 5 to 10 year project there. I mean, look, if it's a disaster, then it'll be a 1 to 2 year project, but let's hope it isn't. Would you? He's made it clear he'll come back for Zack Snyder. They've all said that. So if they hashtag sell the Snyderverse to Netflix, then yeah, I can imagine him doing more superhero movies. But given the state of your career and how it's gone, which has gone, it's gone reasonably well for Henry Cavill, but it is often a case of sort of like unfulfilled potential. Like he should have been our Superman for the past 10 years, and he should have been, the Man from Uncle should have been a franchise, and The Witcher should have been his magnum opus, and he should have been James Bond, and he's been none of those things. Like, he was excellent as Superman. Say what you want about the films, love him, hate him, whatever. He was excellent. We all know that. Now you're just about to become Kevin Feige of Warhammer 40k, something you've loved since you were a child, and you've gone out publicly and said to all of the fans of that who are ultra nerdy, I am sure they are, guys, I promise you this will not be bullshit. This won't, you know, and I think the inference was there aren't going to be any chick space marines. Okay, that's not happening. This is, I know the law. I will make sure that your law is protected. Sure, Games Workshop are equally as strident with Amazon, going, no, if there's wokery, forget it. We'll go to Netflix, we'll go somewhere else. We're not having it. So he's gone out on a limb there. Now Kevin Feige, the actual Kevin Feige, turns up with a truckload of money, going, "Hey, we want to fuck all the Disney and Warner Brothers. Sorry, we want to fuck all the Warner Brothers and Superman fans off. Why don't you come and play Captain Britain?" And but that will mean, like potentially 10 years, a trilogy of Captain Britain plus him heading up as the leader of the Avengers, whatever it's going to be. Would you? Would you? Or would you say, no, thanks, I'm good? And I'm hoping, and I do have my bias. I don't want him to be another superhero. He's my Superman. I love him. Um, but I don't think it makes sense for him to take his eye off of Warhammer 40k to get embroiled with a brand that, frankly, is sinking faster than the lead anvil that's just been chucked over the Titanic. I mean, it is on its way down. You can see ever decreasing returns with the MCU. Sure, it will get a blip with Deadpool and Wolverine and all that sort of thing, but I doubt it. I hope not, and I doubt it. Mario says this team is missing a sniper girl, and they always look sexy with a weapon like that. Yes, Mario, they absolutely do. But you know what I liked about this? There wasn't a girl boss. This is a Delta Force team. They don't have women in Delta Force. They didn't pander to any of that stuff. So while yes, that would have been awesome, because who doesn't like the hot chick who's the sniper? They didn't have it. They didn't go there. perfect, perfect for me in the context of this film. I don't think it would have worked, but yeah. So not for me. I'm afraid we diverge our opinions on this one, man.
And I also, this is kind of a still of the production team. And Russ, we know that these production guys were climbing along with the actors, making every scene look perfect. And they did such a great job. Russ, in the past, you and I've talked about how the angles in which people are filmed
Mm.
and how it looked. And I think that this one was perfect.
Yeah, it was great. It was absolutely great. There's nothing to complain about in this film. This is positive fandom. We can only give this film a positive review because it's the film that we've all been, another one of the films that we're all crying out for. It's great. It's brilliant. I loved it.
It really is. And thank you so much, Tom Jr. Jackson, for reminding us that Let's Get Physical Media starts earlier today at 1 p.m. Eastern with a special interview with Cynthia Rothrock on the Burnettwork, guys. So please do check that out today.
Are you going to be watching that, RM?
No, at that time, I have another appointment.
Uh huh.
I have some other recordings that I have scheduled. So, unfortunately, I'm going to miss that. But guys, do check it out. And, maybe if I'm lucky, I can catch it on the play at some point.
Yeah.
Will you be watching it, Russ?
Someone tell her to contact me because if she wants to work with Amy Johnston and Isaac Florentine, I'm your man, Cynthia. I can make it happen. But yeah, what is Jamin saying? This generation has the benefit of Googling actor directors to look up their movie franchise. When I was a kid, the only thing I had to go by was a picture of, yeah, all of us. But you know what, Jamin? Sorry, I'll read that out because I was reading it in my mind. This generation has the benefit of just Googling actors or directors to look up their movie franchise. When I was a kid, the only thing I had to go by was the picture on the VHS that looked like an action movie. Yes, that is true. But I used to spend 2 hours, 3 hours maybe, just walking around Blockbuster. Like I'd leave at like 5 o'clock or whatever, or 4 o'clock. I'd work on a Friday, and I'd go down there, and I'd just spend, and I'd go back and round again and round again. There was something I don't know, man. It's like being in a bookshop. I loved it, and you never know. Like you literally had to judge it by its cover at times, and sometimes you'd bring home something really bad. But then on other times you'd find something really brilliant. One I was always reminded of was Death Before Dishonor, starring Fred Dryer. He was on TV as Hunter. That's a fucking brilliant film. Death Before Dishonor. Cheap, 1987, 1988 DVD action movie. Absolutely superb. He's a Marine in it and he goes around fighting people. It's great stuff.
And Irene says, I wonder if Cavill made Russ's free
Yeah,
cast.
he absolutely does. I mean, look, I'd be honored. I'd be like, well, how would you like me? Which way, Henry? Of course. Wow, me? Really? Thank you. Oh, yeah, absolute pass.
I wouldn't even have to do anything with him. I just like to have dinner or something. Like that would be enough because he's just so incredible just being him. I think
He could
that
have
says
anything he wants, couldn't he? What would you like me to make you? Tea, coffee, me?
Oh my gosh. Darth Vader talks about the Snyder U being sold to Netflix. Um, Something to think about. I think that Mario has Vasquez on his mind.
Hmm.
Certainly that lady, that actress is incredibly talented.
Jeanette Goldstein.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. And Jamin D also mentions there are some great badass female characters in 40K, so they don't need to do anything at all with them. Portray them as they are, and
Well,
they
that's
will be fine.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Sorry to cut you off there. At the end, I was getting all excited about 40K. Yeah. So there's a big push by people who don't play Warhammer 40K and have no interest in Warhammer 40K only because they just want to make an issue about something, that there have to be female Space Marines. And it's been said numerous times in the law that you can only men can be space marines and have that sort of genetic stuff done to them. But in Warhammer 40K, you've got the sororitas, which have all of the power armor and all of that stuff, and they're just as awesome, except they're not as strong or as lethal as space marines, who are the elite of the elite of the elite. And in the Imperial Guard regiments, you've got women to die for, and rogue traders you've got, and assassins. The what do they call the Assassin's Guild? I can't remember, but yeah, there are plenty of female characters in Warhammer 40K, and I'm sure that Cavill will protect he's kind of staking his reputation on protecting the law of Warhammer 40k. So I'll be flabbergasted if there are female Space Marines. Let's just put it that way.
And Mr. Londo's Groovy Movies talks about Cavill being in the Highlander reboot.
It's
Tom
not a
Junior
rumor;
Jackson.
it's a fact, mate. That Chet Stahelski recently came out and yeah, he said, "No, this film's happening. Don't worry, it's happening." Oh, sorry, Tom Junior Jackson says the same thing.
Absolutely, Russ, and thank you both of you, Tom and Russ. Mario says, "I agree with you, Russ, but I really like that girl who was in Extraction Part 2. She was a strong female, but she was really
Yeah,
brave."
she was brilliant, and she got the shit beaten out of her in a one-on-one situation with a guy. But Mario, as I was saying, in the context of Land of Bad, they're Delta Force. These are soldiers, special forces soldiers that have gone in there. So the only way you could have had a woman in there is if Liam Hemsworth had been a female character as the drone specialist. But then your verisimilitude has gone because there will be 80 or 90% more specialists on the drones men than there are women. And why would you throw a woman into that situation? You wouldn't. And it was the verisimilitude was there because girls wouldn't go on a mission like that.
Yeah,
And
I'm
he's
not
seen
going
Death
on a
Before
mission like
Dishonor.
that.
Grenade. I love that film. Yeah.
As soon as I realized what would happen in my case is as soon as I realized that they were dropping us off and it was dark outside, I'd be like, yeah, I can't do this.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
done.
Forget this. Where's Hemsworth? Bring
Yeah.
him in his shorts, please.
Jamin G says, "Oh yeah, Death Before Dishonor was awesome. You guys are talking Kickboxer too. Russ, do you remember the movie World War Z?
Mm,
Um, and in that movie, there was a woman who was an Israeli. I don't remember her name, but she was an Israeli soldier. I
yeah.
kind I kind of liked that girl. I don't know if she ever continued on with her career, but it is something to think about. Um, and Darth Plato starts to talk about female Marines. I guess that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, well, there are females. I think they believe now there are female combat soldiers, in fact, but I don't think currently, or certainly when last time I was looking into this stuff, that they were permitted to be in special forces. Certainly in the UK, we only have one regiment, special forces, where women are allowed, and that's the Special Reconnaissance Regiment, which are more surveillance than they are kicking down doors with machine guns and jumping out of helicopters. Although they do jump out of helicopters and kick down doors with machine guns, but it's not really the women that are doing that. They're normally observers, but they do have to go through special forces training. I just think the realities of it, you have to be a very, 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 very exceptional man to pass the stringent physicalities that are put on these Delta Force people, carrying 70 pounds or 90 pounds of kit and all of that stuff, and hell weeks and hell marches and all that. So you'd have to be an extra, extra special woman to be able to do it. And there are all sorts of reasons why they don't put them in these situations, least of all because one of the concerns is that the men will not act in a correct military manner because they'll be more worried about their female companion getting captured and all the horrible things that would happen to her if she was captured. But having said that, the IDF has had women soldiers for a long time. We've all got women soldiers, and now they are advancing into combat roles. I just don't think they would be put into a special forces halo jump behind enemy lines to go and assassinate Russian
Yeah,
weapon
it's
smugglers, whatever they are.
yeah, and I believe it or not, I have some relatives who are in the military um, that worked in special forces. They don't anymore, and they talked about jumping out of a plane at 30,000 feet, and I'm like, why on earth would you do that? Why are you doing? Why? I said most skydivers are maybe jumping out at 10, but why would you need to do that? Like they were laughing at me. But that's also kind of like I still can't wrap my head around that. It just seems so unbelievable. Dark Plato says yes. Trust me, I think it's nuts. That's how I feel about it. Um Also, Jamin D says uh Sasha Michelle, yeah, He was in that movie. I need to watch Death Before Dishonor again. Now you got me hungry for it again.
God, was he? See,
LOL.
I just remember, Fred Dryer leaping at the camera, going grenade, and his eyes go really wide. It was a really good film. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And I just really think that I hope that this is the start. Of course, One More Shot might have been the actual start, right, Russ? Because that was one we were talking about maybe a month or so ago, how great it was. And I watched One Shot and then One More Shot after
Mm.
that, which I think just came out, and then The Beekeeper and all this stuff. This might be the year of the action film. It might be the start of something beautiful. I am so excited, Russ. I haven't been this excited in I don't know how long, but I think when a film can inspire you and make you excited about entertainment, that is why we are watching it. That's why we're here even talking about it. And I think it's just incredible.
Um,
It's wonderful to be
I just think that there's a gap in the market for this sort of thing. It's kind of like you're talking about a live stream or whatever. If you want to go onto a live stream and just keep going on about how terrible Disney is and how terrible Marvel is and how terrible Star Wars is and how terrible Rebel Moon is and how terrible everything is. There are channels that are absolutely out there that will service that, and some of those things are indeed terrible. I would say that I personally am really, really happy that I can sit here on a Sunday afternoon, vaguely hungover, now wanting a cigarette. So this stream is going to close shortly. That we can sit here for the past 3 weeks and just go on about how brilliant Statham is, go on about how brilliant Adkins is, go on about how brilliant Hemsworth is in this new movie, and you didn't she texted me last night. I'm having a glass of wine. Oh, hey Russ, have you seen this one? I'm going to watch The Bricklayer next. I'm pissed. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll watch The Bricklayer next. Sat up, watch The Bricklayer. Then Rita turns around and goes, oh no, I haven't watched it. God damn it, you're letting the side down. But I did watch The Bricklayer, not The Beekeeper. I watched that in the cinema with Wendy, as a matter of fact. It was like a date night. It was really nice. However, I watched The Bricklayer last night, and I was astounded when I saw that it was a Rennie Harley. I was like, this one has completely gone underneath my radar. Like maybe saw a clip for it on Action Elite, right? But it just wasn't like that. But I've mentioned it. I've mentioned it. I've mentioned it. Arum's like, okay, I'm watching it. I thought, right, great. It's giving me an excuse. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to dedicate some time to this. Um, it's I think the plot of The Bricklayer is really, really good in that it's original. We've never seen anything quite like this before, in that it involves a guy that was an elite special operations guy for the CIA and is now retired for a quiet life. Wait for it. But then gets called in to do one last mission with a rookie partner, and gets himself into a situation that he hasn't been in before, where he has to call on old contacts and use all of his old skills to get the job done. Now, I know we haven't seen anything like that before, of course. We've seen that film a million times, right? But it was so entertaining. Um, and again, there are many. We see lots of videos and things going up about the indomitable girl boss and how she can do everything in um the Bricklayer. And I'm not going to spoil the movie because I guess our room hasn't seen it yet.
I
So
haven't seen it.
we can review it next week and we can watch some more stuff in the meantime, I guess. But there is one scene where there's a huge fight going on. Aaron Eckhart's having this fight with this guy in this house, and his Nina Dobrev plays his sort of CIA partner, and Aaron Eckhart's getting his ass kicked, and the guy gets hold of him, and he's got a belt, and he's about to strangle Aaron Eckhart with the belt, right? And then Nina Dobrev appears and with her gun like that and goes, "Freeze, asshole!" And the guy sort of stops, and he gets his hands up, and he starts walking towards her, and he goes, "Look, maybe we can talk about this." And then he just slaps the gun out of her hand, and you think there's going to be a karate moment, and it's not. He could bang, punches her straight in the face, sends her through a glass table, and Nina Dobrev spends the rest of the fight unconscious. There you
Oh,
go. That's what happens when a 300 or 200 pound man punches a 5'6" woman in the face with all of his strength. She ends up unconscious, which is what these guys have been screaming for years. But I can guarantee you on the channels that we've mentioned that I'm not going to talk about, we all know what channels we're talking about. Do you think they're going to sit here for an hour and a half going on about how brilliant the bricklayer is? Or do we think they're going to spend all of their time telling us how shit Star Wars is? Because I'm pretty sure I know what they're going to do, and the bricklayer won't be part of that conversation. Anyway, we move
Yeah,
on.
and I understand what you're saying, Russ. Of course, you're talking about uh, dissatisfaction with the current state of
Yeah,
of movies, but also but in conjunction with not acknowledging the fantastic movies that are out right now.
exactly. It's almost like there's a sort of obtuse attitude from certain channels that just don't want to talk because look, I get it. These channels provide a service. There are a lot of frustrated people out there, and these channels give them a chance to vent their frustrations, and that's all to the good. I don't hate these channels. I actually watch these channels, so it's not me slagging them off.
Hey, Polly, from Latino Slant. Hey, Polly, how are you? Happy New Year to you and your family. I hope you were well. It's good to see you. Polly, I don't bring up other channels.
No, no, it's me. It's all my fault.
And I don't actually but what I do is when people who are in the chat do have their own YouTube channel, I promote their channel. So guys, of all of you out there, if you haven't heard of Latino Slant, make sure you go to Paulie's channel. Certainly check out, he does such fantastic shows on Latin culture. I absolutely love his channel, and I've learned so much. It also, one of the ones that I especially loved the most, Paulie, was the one where you did the men. I think it was that one block that had lost so many soldiers in World War II, defending our country. Paulie, that was such a touching and inspiring story. I'm waiting for the movie if they haven't made that yet, but Paulie, something to think about. Um, and it's great to see you. Hope you are well. Paulie, have you gone to any premieres that we should know about? And have you seen the Land of Bad? Have you seen that film? Paulie, let us know. So good to see you. It's such a pleasure. And you know something, Russ, I do want to comment. I think it is interesting. You and I have been talking about, kind of like the modern YouTuber and that
Mhm.
culture of YouTube. And it is very interesting to look at this and the behavior and to see how things go. It certainly is a place where people can express themselves, and that is certainly what we enjoy seeing all of you in the chat do as well. So there is certainly it is a place where that can happen.
Yeah,
I
like I
wanted to
said, lots of people are frustrated, and and it's good that they've got a place to do that. I don't dispute that, but I do think it's woefully obtuse that everything is terrible, and it's clearly not. And that is a hill I'll die on. Like if you're going to shit on things, that's fine because these things do deserve to be shit on. However, when there is entertainment out there is delivering all the things that you profess to want, but you're willfully ignoring it, I don't think that's a good thing. It's entirely up to these people what they want to do. Like as I say, I watch all these shows, but I do wish there was more positivity of it. But I understand positivity doesn't generate as many clicks as negativity. So that's where we are, where we are.
That is something to think about. And here, I do want to mention, here is the link to Paulie's channel,
Hmm.
Latino Slant. Such a great channel, Paulie. I really miss you. I haven't seen you for a little while. I don't know when I'm going to be out to California. Oh wait, I am. What am I saying? I'm going to be in there in California in July for San Diego Comic Con. So, Paulie, if you are at San Diego Comic Con, oh yes, I saw Miller's Girl. I saw Miller's Girl, Paulie. Um, I loved it. Paulie, I saw Miller's Girl, and one of the things that I wanted to say was how refreshing it was to see a story, certainly addressing an issue between these two actors. Jenny Ortega was spectacular in Miller's Girl, and I love Martin Freeman. I love him. He's one of my favorite British actors. I think his role is spectacular in this. What an interesting dynamic in this erotic thriller of a high school teacher and his student, a student who certainly keeps his hands full. I'm just going to leave it that way, Paulie. And I also think that Jenny Ortega shows so much range in this role. Guys, do check out Miller's Girl. And I'm sorry, Russ, just give me 1 second. Miller's Girl is available. I think it might be on, is it on Netflix? I believe it might be on Netflix. It's a fantastic film. Why is my computer acting this way? Um, it's wonderful. And certainly, I think that this film, whoever wrote it, is really spectacular. One of the things that I liked about it was how challenging the film was in the sense of the dynamic of what's happened and how the main character has to address this situation with a student that he thinks is such a star, is so brilliant, and for everything that he believes to be true, kind of, he's looking at it from a very kind of different point of view than she is. Yes, Paulie says it's really well done. Yes, yes, it's on Prime. It's a great film. Paulie, thank you for stopping, guys. Check out his review for Miller's Girl on his channel, Paul. It's such a pleasure. I can't wait to see you in July if you happen to be going to Comic-Con this summer, just in a few short months. Such a pleasure to see you here today. Russ, uh, you talked about, and it's true. I feel like you probably are wondering, like, why would I send you that message saying that I was going to watch those other films? And I do
I'm
apologize.
just teasing you, Oram. I don't care. I was up watching it anyway. I was pissed, and what more can anybody ask? Like pissed and a double header of action movies. Like what's not to love?
I apologize about it only because I was not expecting to enjoy The Land of Bad so much. I think when you enjoy a film like that and you have to see it a second time, which is what I did, I
Yeah, I
think it
see.
speaks volumes. I think it speaks volumes because there were things that I missed the first time around. Then I watched it a second time around and I realized how well put together the film was. And I really am happy that I got a chance to see it a second time, but also I think that it has a future in regards to a franchise. I think we're going to see a lot of things like that going forward.
Mm.
So I did want to mention that as well, before I, kind of, and I do actually feel bad for telling you because I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna think that I was watching the other films and I haven't seen them. Um, I think also when it comes to action franchises, we already know that I believe, and I could be wrong. I believe the Terminal List might be coming out with a second series. Does anybody know for sure?
Yes,
Um,
there it is. They said that it's quite a strange, isn't it, with Amazon because they get accused of being the sort of the ultimate wokosos. Yet apparently, and in some productions they are, but seemingly there's going to be a whole terminal universe, if you like. There's a whole sort of franchise been set up around that now. So that's what I read. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. What's Dad Man saying?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh man. He talks about how super chats can push a narrative and essentially it'll be a gripe fest. Yeah,
Yeah, but
that
I
is
but there's
correct.
nothing wrong with that. That's kind of my point. I'm not attacking these people for what they do. I wish they would do more positive things, but ultimately there is there's a vast swathe of people that like entertainment that do feel marginalized and that do feel shit on. And this is providing a good service where you can all get together. It's a bit of an echo chamber. We can all agree that this thing sucks and that thing sucks, and I hate this and I hate that and I hate what they've done because I do. So it's not me. It's not throwing stones in glass houses here, man. So yeah, I can see I can see why they exist. I can see what they're doing and why they do it. And also, I'm not going to say also sit here and say, is it entirely disingenuous? No, this is what they think. So I think they provide a valuable service. I don't know about greed, Stavros. I think we're all Stavros says streamers are becoming unbearably greedy lately, like what WTF. So I don't know if it's good. We'd all like more, wouldn't we? I'd never say no to a bit of extra cash. Not going to lie.
And goodbye, Dadman Walking 55 and Mrs.
See you later,
Dadman
mate,
Walking 55.
and see you
Uh,
later, lovely.
Hope you both have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And thank you for stopping by. And guys, check out that channel as well. Um, Irene says that everybody's been talking about Mikey Lito, but they haven't heard about from him. I'll hit him up. I hope he's all right. I will hit him up on the phone. I'll give him a call and see how he's doing. I didn't know he wasn't around recently. I saw him a few weeks ago, uh, when I was hanging out with him and Paul from Long Beach. So hopefully he is okay. And thank you for mentioning it. I didn't know that, you know, people that he wasn't around. As you know, I don't have as much time to watch streams. It is the truth. Things have changed dramatically for me at my workplace as well as at home. So both Russ and I, we don't have the time we used to have. Like Russ, it's not like during the pandemic years where we were at home and we couldn't go anywhere, and we were pretty much locked in. Things are kind of changing. I think for a lot of people, it's not just, oh, thank you, Paulie. So thoughtful of you. Um,
I just want
yeah,
to call out before we carry on to Stavros's next point. Has anyone noticed that every time Thomas says something, like he's got a different avatar? It's like Tom in a suit and Tom as a death squad commander, and I think that's really cool.
I think I like this one. I could see Tom ruling over a few planets. I
Hmm.
could see him like ruling over a few planets, and uh, taking on that job and making sure.
I'd be Dead Ramiro's secretary. I'd be a number two. That's what I'd be doing.
Hmm. Yeah, I would be some undefined character who wants to go to
You'd
all of
you'd
the
be a
parties.
Coruscant socialite.
Oh
I'd be
yes.
I'd be in the Empire. I absolutely would be an Imperial flunky in the ISB or something like that. Actually, because I write, you know what I'd be? I'd be part of Dead Ramiro's propaganda
Yeah.
thing. I'd be doing one, like writing up all the things in the Imperial, recruitment magazines and all that. That'd be my job.
I'd be a Coruscant socialite who goes to the opera. I was there that night when what's his name was confessing to all the bad things he did in the Empire, and I'm like,
Mm.
yes, we know. It's so good that you confess to what you think is. I'd be one of those people
Not
sipping
from a
champagne.
Jedi.
Yeah, all of that stuff. The entire galaxy is going to hell, and I'll just be with my champagne flutes, just partying up in the capital. Um, it's just fun to kind of talk about these things, honestly. Vicman de Santiago is here. Hello.
Hola.
It says, hola, amigos. How are you? I enjoy Sunday morning stream with you guys. Well, we enjoy you as well. It's
Thanks for
such a
tuning in, man.
yes. Darth Plato says Emperor Tom Jr. Jackson the
The
fourth.
fourth. Okay.
Absolutely. Certainly like that. Bonzo says, let's get that interstellar fiefdom going. Absolutely. Yes, I'm all for it. I think it's fun to kind of look at things this way, and certainly something to think about. Russ, it's been so much fun talking to you about action films, and I think that they're the perfect kind of films. I think what's also interesting about this is the patriotism in some of them, and you talked about this, Russ, about
America, fuck yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% there for that.
well, the poster implies it, has the American flag, or, kind of
Mm.
like parts of the American flag on it. And I also love that element as well. I think it is certainly very positive message for us to do that. Oh, thank you, Mario. Thank you for saying this. He says, I love watching all those channels. What sometimes tires me is that they all have the same critics. Yeah. Sometimes a mix of opinions can be, or a mix of critics can be,
Yeah,
a
I think
breath of fresh air.
I couldn't agree more, RM. I think sometimes it would be sort of refreshing for somebody on one of those streams to turn and go, actually, I don't agree.
I used to do that on another channel.
I know you used to do that. Hey, guess what? You're not on that channel anymore. Hmm.
No, I'm not, but I used to do that on another channel, and I honestly thought that's why I was there, because they wanted an alternate, because I'm just being honest. I go to parties and absolutely nobody shares my opinion. So I get that. Like, I know I'm going to have a different opinion from other people, and I just thought it adds to the conversation, right?
Well,
It
sure,
adds.
you can have a different opinion from somebody and not have an argument with them and not hate them at the end of the argument. Like what if I thought that The Last Jedi was actually a masterpiece? That doesn't make me a bad, well, it probably does make me a bad person and an idiot, but let's just pretend that wasn't the case. If there are people that think it's a genuine masterpiece, and you're just clinging onto the past, all of that crap, I don't agree fundamentally. But that doesn't make you essentially a bad person, does it? It just means you like a film and another person doesn't. I think often we can lose sight of the fact that these are only toys and films we're talking about here. It's not the end of the world.
Another kind of interesting thing too is that when I first started going to cons, of course there's different fans for different things. So you'll be online, but you may not be behind somebody who shares the same fandom that you like.
Mhm.
They might like something different. And so, they'll say, "Oh, I'm here for such and such." And I'm like, "Tell me what you like about it." Cuz I
Mm.
don't know anything about that, genre, but they might say, "Oh, I really like this character and I like how this," and it's fun to see the excitement, even when it's something you don't even know anything about. We're all having that fun moment together with things that we like. Sometimes it's different and it's all fun. It just adds to that. Oh, what's this? Positive fandom spilling the tea about the falling out. Well, it's not really there was no falling out. But so just to be honest about it, there wasn't. It's just that I was no longer on that channel. So I personally felt that I added a certain level of variety in the sense of
I
opinions.
was gonna thought
Because
you were gonna say sex appeal, but yes, you did, and
oh,
and
oh
and
my
opinions.
gosh, thank you. Yes, maybe, Russ, maybe so. That's very
No,
kind.
there wasn't a falling out, and if you think that I was representing that at all, I wasn't. I was just being snarky, like, "Oh, you're not on it anymore, are you?" But no, there definitely wasn't, and I put my hand on my heart on my mum's grave. That was not the case. So there you go, Bonzo.
Thank you, Russ. And JH edits. Hey, JH, how are
Hey,
you?
man,
Glenn Powell may be a new act. Thank you for mentioning this man. Is he the one who was in Top Gun Maverick?
and he was the one in the one with Sydney Sweeney, the romantic comedy that's made billions and billions of dollars all of a sudden. Um, it must be you or something like that. But yeah, it's just come out. Yes, that's him, the good-looking one, the one that was cocky and good-looking in Top
Oh,
Gun Maverick.
so handsome.
He is.
I'm sorry, guys. I did not mean to say it in that manner, but he is stunning. I think that he has just dashing good looks. There, I said it. Thank you, JH Edits, for certainly brightening up the action star thing. Now, um, there he is in a tuxedo. You mentioned here, it says he was in, oh, he's going to be in the, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Expendables 3. He's been in a
Oh
lot.
my god! Yeah, God, he was young then. He was the computer guy. Yeah,
He's been in a lot. He was in Hidden Figures. He was in Top Gun Maverick, as we said. Everybody wants some. What else was he in? Too much to name. Too much to name. He's been in a lot. Hitman. He was in. He was in Devotion. I remember he starred in that film as well, which I reviewed with Darth Plato. Anyone but you. Is that the film,
that's
Russ?
it. Yeah, Tom just dropped it in the chat. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the one that apparently it was a very popular film.
Mm.
Did it pop up? Let's
Well,
see.
it apparently had a slow start. Rob was doing a show about this the other day. It had a $6 million opening, but they just kind of left it running. And guess what? It's a great movie, and word of mouth then upped it and upped it and upped it, and now it's made a huge amount of money. So more power to it. You see, here's the thing: who'd have thought it? So we keep talking about this, the domination of the superhero movie in the short order. We've now got a rom-com. We've now got action movies. Maybe we'll see like a knockabout screwball comedy that has too much nudity and bad language in it, like we used to get. Who knows? Maybe the erotic thriller will come back. You never know.
Yes, Mark Spencer's Avatar. Hi, Mark Spencer's Avatar. Yes, he was in The Dark Knight Rises. Yes, he was in quite a few there. Oh, Michael, nothing happened to it. It's still there. Just when the three people who have very busy schedules can get together to do it. As I said, I only stream 2 days a week now, which is Fridays and Sundays. So that decreases. I was almost streaming every day, guys, or streaming and recording every day.
You really were, weren't you? And then you were
Yeah, it
doing
was a
all of that.
lot.
You were playing lots of games and everything. Like, it just became all consuming.
Yes, and certainly, I had to, now things have changed a little bit, I think for many of us, and things do change. So it's totally fine, like, it's all good. Here is, Glenn with, in the movie called Hidden Figures, where they talk about the ladies who works, those human computer
NASA,
ladies.
was it NASA? Yeah.
Yeah, God, goodness gracious, those ladies are amazing. It's like checking the math of the computer. It's like, what? Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think I really do like his look. He actually goes up to one of the ladies in the scene and says, "Hey, did you check those calculations? I don't
Mm.
want to go up in the air until she's looked at it." And I'm like, Yeah, me too. So I just think it's just fun to see scenes like that. I think he is great. Do you think we're going to see him in more that is action related, Russ? Because he seems like really setting himself up for Hollywood's next leading man. What do you think, Russ?
I think with the action genre, I don't think that Hollywood's particularly keen. Like there's no one sitting around these tables going, you know what, we need more action movies. What they're probably sitting around looking at is, do you know what? While we've been doing all this stuff, there's this entire market, this untapped market of blokes that are going out and watching these movies. Look at how much this one sold, and look at how much this one streamed, and look at how much that one. Like every time there's an action movie, it gets watched. Hmm. Maybe if we got a big star and put him in the cinema, perhaps we could make some money too. Brilliant idea. Let's do that. I'm sure Glenn Powell has the charisma. I could see him as like a Dirty Harry. Like,
Oh,
like if they were going to remake Dirty Harry or rip off, I wouldn't want to see him remake Dirty Harry, but I'd like to see him rip off Dirty Harry and have like a maverick cop. Because he's got those eyes, hasn't he? He's got those cold eyes. You can almost see him. Did I set fire 6 shots or only five, and all that kind of thing. Yes, I think all of these young guys could do it, and they are relatively young. Sort of in their mid 20s to mid 30s. A lot of these guys. Why not? Absolutely. Let's bring it back. And I think ultimately it's no secret, is it? The only thing that Hollywood cares about ultimately is not messaging or anything like that, unless you get into the deeper conversation about lines of credit and all that sort of thing. It's just about making money. Make some money. Get a handsome guy up there with a machine gun and no shirt on. Have him mow down loads and loads of people. Oh, look, we just made bank. This is brilliant. Let's do more of that. It'll run its course, as these things always do, as the 80s action genre did, and we'll get it replaced with something else. But people have been saying, what's going to fill the vacuum of the superhero movie? Well, it looks like a diversity in entertainment might well be filling that vacuum. Action movies, rom-coms now we're getting, you know, who knows? Maybe there'll be a big sports movie, or so who knows? But the superhero is not dead, but they're certainly on hiatus for a little while, and that's all for the better. And who knows? Warhammer 40k could be the next big thing, or maybe the Terminal verse will do it, or maybe the Extraction verse. I don't know, but I'm excited. I'm excited.
and Bonzo says, I've heard the late 40s is the new mid 20s. Yeah, they sure are expecting 40-year-olds to be like 20-year-olds. In fact, I've heard a lot of Gen Zers say that I guess Gen Xers act like they're 20. And it's like, yeah, I guess we do, but who cares, right? I mean, maybe it is true. I don't know. And thank you for the kind words about my content. Certainly, I don't do it alone. I do have, obviously Russ here, along with Darth Plato and Julian, Catherine, a plethora of people who really do support what I do, and I appreciate their input as well. But thank you so much, Mark Spector's Avatar. I promise you, I will get back into gaming soon enough. I never finished playing The Expanse, one of my favorite games, and I haven't finished it. I haven't had a chance. So, Russ, this has been such an incredible stream today. Any final thoughts before we wrap up the show?
Um, Not really. I just again want to congratulate my beloved Irene Jobson. Really, really well done. Thank you for everybody for firing in the questions. I hope we did a good job on answering them. We got one more here from Mario, who says, I recently saw the films Barbie, Oppenheimer, Sunshine, and Trance. I can say that, in my opinion, the last two, being older, are much better. I'm now in a phase of rewatching or watching older films. Trance, is that the one with Rosario Dawson with that one amazing scene in it? Because if it is, then yeah, I rate that film. And Sunshine, the music in that film. Oh my god, that Adagio in B minor, man. Oy vey, oy vey. That is a great film. That's got Chris Evans in it, Killian Murphy. Um, oh, he's British. Mark Strong is in it. It's a great, great, great film. Really, really good film. Danny Boyle, great sci-fi. No, I don't really have anything to add. Just please, guys, go out and support these action movies. Try, if you can, not to pirate them, especially the Michael Jai Whites and the Scott Adkins and the this. And I'm sure land a bad. If if you're going to get it, then maybe they can weather it. But I'd really like to see money been spent on these. The only way to let people know this is the entertainment that we want is by buying it. And I know it hurts, or renting it, but please try to support, especially the small ones, especially the small ones. And also the big ones. Like, go to the cinema and watch it. I mean, who doesn't like going to the cinema? We don't have the unspecified virus of unknown origin anymore. It's gone. We can all go to the cinema and go and enjoy a film. Take a date. Go do it. And watch shit getting blown up by red-blooded Americans. That's what we're here for.
I agree, Russ. Certainly something to think about. I also wanted to mention, since Mario talked about looking at old films, and also, again, Irene, congratulations, well done to you, and thank you for the oh so generous super chat.
Mm.
You're always so kind, Irene, and I do appreciate it. Love you right back. I did just want to mention, if I was looking at an old film, it's always a film that I always tend to go back to. It's a science fiction film that stars George Clooney, and it's a remake of a famous Russian version of the film called Solaris. And
Solaris.
yes, and I really love it. I think there's so much about it that I find so provocative. The notion of, having lost somebody and then them suddenly appearing, but it's an alien. It's not your loved one. This is an alien person. But it captivates people. And the lady who plays Amanda Waller, I can never remember her name. She's in it, and she kind of tells, she actually plays a doctor in this on the ship, and she tells George, she's like, look, this is what's happening, okay, and I don't care. It was like, I think it speaks volumes how it affects so many of them. They're all changed forever by this experience, and
Mm.
it is very haunting and tempting, and it's kind of like so many elements of science fiction, but also seduction in its purest form. The thing that you've always wanted, you're going to get now. So Solaris is such a beautiful film, I think. Russ, have you seen it?
Yes, I have. I've seen both versions.
And what do you think of the version with George Clooney?
I really enjoyed it. Asked a lot of a lot of, can't think of the word, a lot of decent questions. And yeah, it's a very, very slow movie. It takes a bit of fortitude to get through. There's not a lot of explosions therein or anything like that. I seem to remember really enjoying this version. I think I preferred it to the Russian version. But it's been a long time since I saw it RM, so I'd have to rewatch it.
Absolutely. Yes, it is very much like Starman, Darth Plato. Except Starman is essentially every woman's fantasy who wants to have a kid but can't have a kid, as well as being a alien visits Earth and she gets a kid from her dead husband. So Starman
Okay.
Starman fulfills all those fantasies there. So
I
there's that.
suppose it begs the question, like, if Species were real and Natasha Henstridge was gonna do all sorts of things to you in order to procreate, but then killed you afterwards, would it be worth it?
Yes, it
That's
would be
that's the
worth it
bit.
because
It would, wouldn't it?
yeah, because
Absolutely,
nobody lives
sign me up.
forever.
You'd
Nobody
go
lives
out with a smile
forever.
on your face.
Well, I let's just say I don't need a celebrity to be the person that I want it to be. It would be somebody who meant a lot to me in my life,
Mhm.
who, let's say, isn't here anymore. That's another thing to think about. There's a lot of people who are longing for people who are deceased or widowed, and I think that speaks volumes. If my mother could see my father right now, she'd be just totally happy right now. So
Yeah, sorry, Aram. I think we're talking about two different things. I was talking about Species, in which Natasha Hendrich is an alien that goes down and mates with men and then kills them afterwards. And I'm asking the question:
oh, I see what you're saying. Not
would it be
Solaris,
worth it? And
not
there's
Sol-
Mark
right.
Spector's Avatar says yes, Darth Plato says no. So
Completely worth it. Why not? Bonzo Kilborn sums it up. Red-blooded Australian Americans couldn't have said that any better.
mhm.
Yes, they're wonderful in the role. Gee, I they're wonderful, very, very talented. Jamie D says, hell no. Bonzo says no. It's so much fun to talk about this stuff as we're wrapping up. JH Edit says, and that is the whole problem with aliens, is you just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one. like Starman and ET, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
I know, but
Well,
when they're a big lizard, they're always really hot, like Diana out of V,
who I
right?
wanted to be. And someone asked me, they said, "Would you take all the water and stuff from the earth?" I'm like, "Absolutely." I would take all the resources. Why not, guys? Um, Marco says he hasn't made it past the first half hour of Barbie. Good for you, Marco.
Keep it up, man.
And Old Yorkshire Geek says, "Hey, great stream. Have a great Sunday, everybody. Yes, have a
Cheers,
great
Yorkie.
Sunday." Um, Tom Jr. Jackson says, "Thank you for watching Sunday Brunch. Thank you, Russ, as always, for being here. It's always such a pleasure hosting with you on this show."
Well, it's always an honor to be here with you, RM. Thanks for inviting me, and I hope everyone enjoyed the show. And yeah, I'm going to go down and get myself some dinner now. I'm hungry.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. That is what would happen. Guys, remember, we will be here next week talking more Sunday brunch. And guys, remember, no matter where you are in the galaxy, always remember to please be kind. Thank you so much, Tom Jr. Jackson, for moderating. We are all good people and we do appreciate it. Take care, everybody.
See you later, guys. Thanks for watching.